The star cruiser Horizon sailed through the darkness of space, Earth's first faster-than-light vessel on its maiden diplomatic voyage. Admiral James Reynolds stood on the bridge, gazing at the endless expanse of stars. Humanity had finally done it, broken the light barrier. The galaxy was now within reach. "Admiral, incoming transmission from Earth," the communications officer reported. Reynolds nodded, but before the message could play, the ship's sensors blared to life. "Multiple objects entering our solar system, sir. They're massive." The young officer's voice cracked with alarm. Reynolds watched in horror as the display showed dozens of alien vessels, each dwarfing the largest human battleship. "Alert Earth. We have company." Back on Earth, chaos erupted as the alien armada entered orbit. No warning, no communication, just the sudden appearance of technological might far beyond humanity's comprehension. The first strikes hit major cities around the globe: New York, London, Beijing, Moscow. Precision orbital bombardments that reduced decades of human achievement to rubble in seconds. In the Pentagon's underground command center, General Miller stared at the monitors showing real-time destruction. Who are they? What do they want? As if answering his question, all communication channels worldwide simultaneously broadcast a message. "People of Earth," a blue-skinned alien with 4 eyes stated coldly, "I am High Commander Dren of the Galactic Council. Your species has been deemed too aggressive for unrestricted galactic access. This containment action is for the greater safety of all civilized worlds." Reynolds, aboard the Horizon received the same message moments before his ship was disabled by a weapon that seemed to ignore their shields completely. On Earth, military bases were the next targets. Fighter jets exploded mid-flight. Aircraft carriers sank beneath sudden, impossible waves. Missile silos imploded before they could launch. Within 6 hours, Earth's organized military response had been neutralized. Within 12, major governments had surrendered. Within 24, High Commander Dren walked through the United Nations building, surrounded by guards who towered over the human representatives. "Your species will be contained and monitored," Dren announced to the emergency assembly of world leaders. "Attempted space travel will result in immediate punishment. A governing council of humans who understand the necessity of our actions will oversee Earth's compliance." President Foster stood up despite the protests of her advisors. "What gives you the right to attack us without provocation? We've done nothing to your Galactic Council." Dren's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "Your history speaks for itself. Your entertainment glorifies violence. Your nations constantly war with each other. Your scientific progress is primarily driven by military needs." He gestured to a display showing humanity's conflicts throughout history. "The Council has studied your species for decades." The verdict was unanimous. Humans are too dangerous to join galactic society without proper controls. In the days that followed, alien peacekeeping forces established bases on every continent. Puppet governments were installed. Space programs worldwide were dismantled. Advanced technology was confiscated. But not everyone surrendered. Admiral Reynolds, captured with his crew and brought back to Earth, was being transported to a detention facility when the convoy was attacked. Half conscious, he felt someone dragging him from the wreckage. "Admiral, stay with me," a voice urged. Reynolds recognized the face of Captain Mark Torres, his former second-in-command. "Torres, how?" "Not everyone was at the bases when they hit," Torres explained as they moved through underground tunnels. "Some of us got away. Been gathering others. Military, scientists, civilians who want to fight back." They emerged in an abandoned subway station converted into a makeshift command center. Dozens of people worked at salvaged equipment. Maps covered the walls. Weapons, both human and some clearly of alien design, were stacked in corners. "Welcome to the Resistance, Admiral," Torres said with grim determination. "They think they've beaten us. They think humans just roll over when hit hard enough." He handed Reynolds a tablet showing small resistance cells forming worldwide. They have no idea what humans are truly capable of when cornered. 5 years had passed since the invasion. Earth's cities had been rebuilt under alien oversight. Sleek, efficient structures replaced historical landmarks. Alien technology powered homes and businesses, while simultaneously monitoring all communications. On the surface, life continued under the watchful eyes of High Commander Dren and his peacekeeping forces. But beneath this facade of cooperation, humanity plotted. Deep within an abandoned mine system outside what was once Denver, Marcus Reed wiped sweat from his brow. The former Navy SEAL studied the holographic map displaying Council patrol routes. Each day, the Resistance gathered more intelligence on their occupiers. They're creatures of habit, Marcus told the small group gathered around him. Every patrol follows the exact same pattern, down to the second. Their technology makes them overconfident. Dr. Eliza Wilson nodded as she dismantled an alien weapon on a nearby workbench. Once a leading physicist at MIT, she now led the Resistance's technology division. "They think we're barely more than clever animals," she said, carefully extracting a glowing blue component. "That's their first mistake. Their second was leaving their broken equipment behind, thinking we couldn't possibly understand it." The Resistance had grown stronger each year, small at first, just military personnel who had escaped the initial assault. It now included people from all walks of life. Teachers, engineers, farmers, students, all united by the desire to reclaim their world. Marcus. A young woman burst into the room, breathing heavily from running. The supply convoy was hit. Thomas is back with the haul. Outside, trucks rolled into the hidden mountain entrance. Dr. Thomas Moore, a former robotics engineer, jumped from the lead vehicle with a wide grin on his face. "We got everything," he announced as Resistance members began unloading crates of alien technology. And the best part, they think it was an accident. The transport ship malfunctioned and dropped its cargo. Marcus examined the stolen goods. "Any casualties?" "None," Thomas replied proudly. "Just as you ordered. We're invisible ghosts, not terrorists." This was the Resistance's core strategy: gather resources without alerting the Council to their true strength. A delicate balance of patience and preparation. Later that night, Eliza called the leadership together. Her laboratory, carved from the mountain rock, hummed with salvaged alien equipment. "I've made a breakthrough," she said, activating a small device. A weapon no larger than a handgun floated above the table, suspended in a containment field. "This is a standard Council pulse pistol, efficient, accurate, but deliberately limited in power." She tapped at her computer, and the weapon disassembled itself in midair, components spreading out like an exploded diagram. Their weapons have built-in governors, artificial limitations. They don't want anyone, even themselves, to have access to the full potential of their technology. It's how they maintain power balance within the Council. Thomas leaned forward. "And you've figured out how to remove these governors?" Eliza smiled. "Better. I've learned how to bypass them without removing them. The weapons still register as normal in their diagnostics, but they operate at 300% efficiency." The room fell silent as implications sank in. "Show us," Marcus said. At a remote testing area, Eliza aimed the modified pistol at a thick metal plate, salvaged from an alien vessel. Standard Council weapons could barely dent it. The modified weapon fired. The energy pulse wasn't just brighter, it was different, more focused. The plate didn't just dent, it disintegrated. "How many can you modify?" Marcus asked, eyes wide. "All of them," Eliza replied. "And I've been studying their ships too. They use the same basic technology scaled up. The principles are identical." Back at the command center, Marcus addressed his fellow Resistance leaders. The holographic map now showed Council bases across Earth and the solar system. "For 5 years, we've been patient, gathering intelligence, learning their weaknesses, building our strength," he said. "Now we know something critical. The Council's technology is deliberately hobbled, and we can unlock its full potential. He pointed to a small council outpost. It's time to test what we've learned, not just for Earth, but for the entire human race. In the shadows, Admiral Reynolds watched with grim satisfaction. The council had no idea what was coming. Captain Lisa Reeves adjusted her uniform in the mirror, ensuring every detail was perfect. The council-approved gray material felt stiff and uncomfortable, but it was her ticket into the heart of alien operations. "Remember," Admiral Reynolds said, watching her prepare, "your job isn't to sabotage. It's to observe and report." Lisa nodded. The best intelligence comes from those they don't suspect. 3 months earlier, the Resistance had made a bold decision. Rather than fighting from the shadows, they would place operatives within the system itself. Lisa, with her photographic memory and calm demeanor, was the perfect candidate for their most ambitious infiltration. "Don't take unnecessary risks," Reynolds continued. "They still don't understand human psychology well enough to detect subtle deception. Use that advantage." The next morning, Lisa reported for duty at the Central Administration Tower in New Washington, once Washington, D.C. before the invasion. The gleaming structure housed the main Earth-based operations for the Galactic Council. Assistant Reeves reporting to Diplomat Vix, she announced at the security checkpoint, eyes downcast in the submissive posture expected of humans. Security scans completed, Lisa was escorted to the upper levels where most humans never ventured. Her heart pounded as the elevator rose, but her face remained passive. Diplomat Vix was waiting, his tall, slender form lounging behind a desk. Unlike Commander Dren, Vix had only 2 eyes, but his green skin bore the same iridescent patterns that marked all members of the Council's dominant species. "Ah, the new human assistant," Vix said, looking up from his console. "I requested you specifically, Reeves. Your service record shows exceptional organizational skills." "I'm honored to serve," Lisa replied with practiced humility. Over the following weeks, Lisa became indispensable to Vix. She organized his schedules, prepared his briefings, and anticipated his needs. The alien diplomat grew increasingly reliant on her efficiency. "You know," Vix commented one evening as they worked late, "you're not like other humans. You seem to understand the necessity of the Council's presence here." Lisa carefully composed her response. "I believe in order and progress. The Council has brought both." Vix made a sound like chiming bells. She had learned this was their version of pleased laughter. "If only more of your kind shared your wisdom, perhaps the containment would not be necessary." Each night, Lisa returned to her small apartment and secretly transmitted the day's intelligence to Resistance headquarters. Floor plans, security protocols, names of collaborators. Every detail memorized during her workday. Her breakthrough came during the 3rd month. Vix, now completely trusting her, allowed Lisa to organize his secure files. "These defense protocols need updating," he said casually. "The format is wrong. Fix it." On his screen appeared detailed schematics of the Council's unified defense network. Lisa's heart raced as she realized what she was seeing. The entire system connected to a central control node hidden within Jupiter's orbit. That night, her transmission was encoded with the highest security. "Eagle has found the nest," she reported. "The entire defense grid runs through a single control point." Back at Resistance headquarters, Dr. Wilson received the transmission with growing excitement. "This is exactly what we needed," she told Reynolds and Marcus. "Their overconfidence is staggering. They've built their entire defense system with a single point of failure." Thomas joined them, carrying a small data crystal. "And I've completed the virus. Once uploaded to their network, it will lie dormant until activated, then systematically disable their weapons and shields." Reynolds studied the holographic display of the Jupiter control node. "But how do we get close enough to upload it? Their security at the node must be impenetrable." "We don't need to attack the node directly," Marcus said. "Lisa's intelligence shows Council ships routinely connect to the network for updates during maintenance cycles. If we can get the virus onto even one ship, it would spread throughout their entire system." Thomas finished. "Like a pandemic they never prepared for." Dr. Wilson held up the crystal. One upload, and their entire technological advantage becomes our weapon. Reynolds nodded grimly. Tell Lisa to stay in position. We're moving to Phase 2. Outside Earth's atmosphere, hidden by the dark side of the moon, the first human strike fleet waited. Built in secret over 5 years, using modified alien technology, the ships represented humanity's vicious response to unprovoked aggression. The Council had no idea what was coming. The human colony on Mars had been established long before the invasion. Small and self-sufficient, it had escaped the Council's initial attack. When Earth fell, the colonists went dark, shutting down all communications and burrowing deeper into their underground habitats. 5 years later, the Mars colony had become humanity's hidden ace. Jack Foster, colony leader and former SpaceX engineer, stared at the communication from Earth resistance. They want us to do what? His second-in-command, Olivia Chen, looked equally stunned. Attack a Council outpost. With what? The answer arrived 3 days later. A stealth ship, using modified Council cloaking technology, landed in the night. From its hold emerged a dozen resistance fighters and 6 large crates. Special delivery from Earth, grinned the pilot, a rough-looking man named Cole. Dr. Wilson sends her regards. Inside the crates were weapons unlike anything the colonists had seen before. They resembled Council pulse rifles, but with subtle modifications. These have been enhanced, Cole explained during the briefing. Same energy signature as standard Council weapons, but 3 times the destructive power. They won't know what hit them. The target was a small Council monitoring station on Phobos, one of Mars' moons. Just 30 Council soldiers, mostly bored with their remote assignment, monitoring for any signs of human activity on the red planet. Why this target? Jack asked. Cole projected a holographic map. It's isolated, lightly defended, but connected to their network. When we strike, the news will travel instantly to every Council outpost in the system. And that's what we want. Exactly. Cole's eyes gleamed. We want them scared. We want them confused. Most importantly, we want them to see their own weapons used against them with impossible effectiveness. Training took 2 weeks. Then, on a quiet night shift when the station was at minimum staffing, 3 small ships approached Phobos. Scanners detect nothing, reported the lone Council officer monitoring security systems. Standard meteor activity only. His superior, more experienced with human territory, frowned. Run a deep scan. These humans are tricky. Before the scan could begin, the ships dropped their cloaking and fired. Enhanced weapons tore through the station's outer defenses like paper. Impossible. The senior officer gasped. Those are Council weapons. Inside the lead attack ship, Jack gripped his controls tightly. First wave, breach the main entrance. Second wave, secure the communication hub. Remember, minimal casualties. The Mars colonists, wearing salvaged and modified Council armor, stormed the facility. The alien guards fired back, but their weapons were standard issue. No match for the enhanced versions the humans carried. In the command center, the senior officer frantically sent distress signals. Outpost 17 under attack. They have our weapons. They're using our technology against us. His transmission cut short as Jack and his team burst through the door. Hands up, Jack ordered, weapon pointed at the officer. No one needs to die today. Within 20 minutes, the station was secured. Only 2 Council soldiers had been killed, those who had refused to surrender. The rest were bound and placed in secure quarters. Cole led a team to the communication hub, where they uploaded Dr. Wilson's virus into the station's network connection. Package delivered, he reported. It'll spread through their system like wildfire, but stay dormant until activated. Back on Earth, in the Central Administration Tower, alarms blared. Diplomat Vix rushed into the emergency meeting. Lisa Reeves closed behind. What's happening? Vix demanded. High Commander Dren's 4 eyes blinked rapidly in agitation. Impossible reports from Phobos Station. Humans attacked with Council weapons, weapons that somehow functioned beyond design parameters. How is that possible? Another Council member asked. The governors are hardwired. Dren slammed his fist down. I want answers. And I want an emergency council meeting immediately. In the corner, Lisa kept her face carefully blank while her mind raced. The plan was working perfectly. The council was rattled. Their sense of technological superiority, the cornerstone of their confidence, had been shaken. On Phobos, Jack sent the confirmation signal to Resistance headquarters. First strike successful. The Hornet's nest has been kicked. Back on Earth, Admiral Reynolds received the message and allowed himself a small smile. Now we see if they panic. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council buzzed with angry voices. Delegates from 37 spacefaring civilizations gathered in the massive orbital station that served as their seat of government. Emergency lighting pulsed along the walls, signaling the crisis-level meeting. High Commander Dren stood at the center platform, 4 eyes darting nervously across the assembly. Order. I demand order, shouted the council overseer, a massive being with translucent skin that revealed pulsing organs beneath. The chamber gradually quieted. We face an unprecedented situation, Dren began. The humans have somehow modified our weapons technology to function beyond established safety parameters. They have captured a monitoring station with minimal effort, using our own tools against us. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. How is this possible? Demanded Representative Krell of the Mithran Confederacy, his scaled face contorted in disbelief. The governors on all council technology are genetically encoded. We don't know, Dren admitted. Our initial assessment suggested humans were intelligent but technologically primitive compared to council standards. We may have underestimated them. The Valerian delegate, a being composed of swirling gases contained within a mechanical suit, floated forward. This is exactly why I opposed half measures from the beginning. The humans should have been completely eradicated, not merely contained. Several delegates shouted agreement, while others rose in protest. Genocide is not the council way, countered Representative Talia, whose people had once faced extinction themselves. We contain threats. We do not obliterate sapient species. The debate raged for hours. On one side, hardliners demanded immediate, overwhelming force, bombing Earth back to a pre-industrial state. Others advocated for negotiation, arguing that humans had merely demonstrated their right to be recognized as equals. Watching from Earth via secure transmission, Lisa Reeves recorded everything. Hidden in her apartment bathroom, with signal-blocking materials salvaged from council technology, she sent continuous updates to Resistance headquarters. The council is fracturing over how to respond, she reported. They've never faced a species that could reverse engineer their technology so quickly. Some want to exterminate us. Others want to talk. They're stalling on making any decision. At Resistance headquarters, Admiral Reynolds processed this information with grim satisfaction. While they argue, we act. Lisa, can you access the defense protocols from Vixa's office? Already done, she replied. Complete schematics for Earth's orbital defense grid, access codes, everything. Dr. Wilson and her team worked through the night, analyzing the files Lisa had sent. These defenses are designed to keep us in, not enemies out, she explained. There are exploitable weaknesses everywhere. Meanwhile, at the puppet government headquarters in New Washington, the human administrators noticed the council's growing uncertainty. President Baker, selected by the council for his compliance, sensed the shift in power. They're distracted, he told his inner circle. For the first time, they're not watching our every move. Some of our restrictions could be relaxed while they're dealing with this crisis. What Baker didn't know was that 2 of his advisors were resistance plants. Every word was relayed back to Reynolds. In the council chamber, the divide grew wider. The Valerian faction now openly called for High Commander Dren's removal. Your containment strategy has failed, the Valerian representative accused. The humans should have been handled like the Krith Rebellion. Complete neutralization. The situations are entirely different, Dren countered. The Krith were mindless destroyers. Humans have potential value as a species. As the council meeting extended into its second day without resolution, Thomas activated the next phase of the plan. Maintenance crews, resistance members who had infiltrated council service ranks, boarded alien vessels docked at Earth's orbital stations for routine checks. In each ship, a tiny device was connected to the central computer systems. Dr. Wilson's virus entered their networks, spreading from ship to ship through routine data exchanges. Like a patient predator, it remained dormant, waiting for the activation signal. Virus deployment at 60% and climbing, Thomas reported. At this rate, we'll have infected their entire Earth-based fleet within 48 hours. Admiral Reynolds nodded, and the council remains divided. Completely, Lisa confirmed in her latest transmission. They can't agree on a response. Some delegations are even threatening to withdraw from council space if extreme measures are taken against Earth. Reynolds smiled grimly. Then the time has come to prepare for Operation Thunderstrike. The Resistance headquarters buzzed with controlled tension. 5 years of planning, gathering intelligence, and developing technology had led to this moment. Every screen showed a different part of the operation. Fleet positions, ground team readiness, orbital defense grid status. Admiral Reynolds stood at the center of it all, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of tactical displays. "Status report," he commanded. Marcus checked his tablet. "All teams in position, sir. Ground forces ready at all 23 primary targets. Mars fleet standing by. Lunar contingent armed and prepared." Dr. Wilson approached with Thomas. "Virus activation protocols are set. One command will trigger the entire network." Reynolds nodded, then turned to his communications officer. "Signal Captain Reeves. Operation Thunderstrike begins at dawn." In the Central Administration Tower, Lisa received the coded message through her hidden communicator. She took a deep breath and prepared for her most dangerous task yet. Diplomat Vix was working late, reviewing reports about the Council's emergency meeting. "Sir," Lisa said, entering his office with 2 cups of his favorite beverage. "You've been working for hours. I thought you might need refreshment." "How thoughtful," Vix replied, accepting the drink. "These humans are more troublesome than anyone anticipated. The Council cannot agree on a response." Lisa smiled sympathetically. "Perhaps a systems check would ease your mind. I can run a full diagnostic on your personal network." Vix waved his long fingers in agreement. "Yes, do that. Make sure everything is secure." With access to Vix's terminal, Lisa quickly inserted a small device into the port, the final link needed to complete the virus network. "System looks good," she reported calmly, though her heart raced. "All connections optimal." At exactly dawn, as the first rays of sunlight touched the rebuilt cities of Earth, Reynolds gave the command, "Activate Thunderstrike." Dr. Wilson pressed her palm against the scanner, and a single command pulsed through hidden networks across Earth, the Moon, Mars, and throughout Council installations in the solar system. Aboard the Council flagship in Earth orbit, alarms suddenly blared. "What's happening?" demanded the ship's commander. "Systems failure. Weapons offline. Shields failing," his crew reported in panic. "Communications down." All across Earth, Council ships suddenly lost power, drifting helplessly. Security systems in their bases went dark. Communication networks fell silent. In New Washington, the puppet government officials watched in astonishment as their council overseers suddenly lost contact with their command structure. President Baker was in the middle of a briefing when the lights flickered. His council advisor's communication device went dead. "What's going?" Baker began, but was interrupted as resistance forces stormed the room. "Mr. President," said the team leader, "you're being relieved of your position. Please come with us." Simultaneously, at 23 strategic locations worldwide, human forces emerged from hiding. Using modified council weapons, they quickly secured alien strongholds with minimal bloodshed. Most Council forces, cut off from command and with malfunctioning equipment, surrendered quickly. In orbit, hidden human ships powered up. Built in secret lunar facilities and equipped with enhanced Council technology, they surrounded the disabled alien vessels. Admiral Reynolds boarded his flagship, the Defiance *, Earth's first true warship, created from salvaged and improved alien components. "Target the Council command ship," he ordered. "Disable engines only. We want them intact." The Defiance * fired a single shot, a modified energy pulse that precisely disabled the massive Council vessel's propulsion system, leaving it dead in space. In the confusion, Jack Foster's Mars fleet captured the defense node near Jupiter in a swift, surgical strike. Without firing a shot, they secured the central hub of the Council's entire solar system defense network. High Commander Dren was in his quarters when human forces breached his ship. He reached for his weapon but found it non-functional. "What is the meaning of this?" he demanded as Reynolds himself entered the room. "This," Reynolds said calmly, "is humanity showing restraint. We could have killed every Council member in the solar system today. Instead, we chose to take you alive." Dren's 4 eyes widened in shock. "Impossible. How did you overcome our technology?" "You made a fundamental error," Reynolds explained. "You judged us by our technology, not by our potential. You attacked without provocation, thinking us weak. That was your mistake." Within 48 hours, every Council installation on Earth had been captured. The alien occupiers became prisoners, treated firmly but humanely, a point Reynolds insisted upon. From his command center, Reynolds sent a message to the Galactic Council itself. "Earth is now free, and we're ready to talk." The grand chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent as Admiral Reynolds stepped onto the speaker's platform. Flanking him were Dr. Wilson, Marcus, and Captain Reeves, each representing different aspects of humanity's remarkable resistance. The Council members stared in disbelief. Never before had a contained species not only broken free, but managed to secure an audience in the sacred chamber itself. "Members of the Galactic Council," Reynolds began, his voice steady and clear. "5 years ago, you attacked Earth without provocation. You bombed our cities, killed our people, and installed a puppet government. You believed you had the right to decide humanity's fate without our input." He paused, looking around the chamber. "Today, I stand before you not as a supplicant, but as the representative of a free Earth. Within our solar system, your forces have been neutralized. Your ships are disabled. Your technology has been, shall we say, improved upon." Murmurs swept through the assembly. The Valerian representative floated forward. "This is outrageous. You stand before us making threats. Your species has proven exactly why containment was necessary." Reynolds raised a hand. "If we wanted to threaten you, we wouldn't be here. We would have simply destroyed your forces and prepared for your retaliation." He gestured to Dr. Wilson, who activated a holographic display. "This is a complete schematic of your unified defense network," she explained as the detailed map appeared above them. "We've identified 17 critical vulnerabilities that could collapse your entire system. We could have exploited any of them. We chose not to." The Council overseer leaned forward. "Why show restraint when you clearly possess the capability for destruction?" "Because," Reynolds said, "that's the difference between humans and what you believed us to be. We fight when necessary, but we prefer peace. We defend ourselves, but we don't seek dominance through fear." Captain Reeves stepped forward. "During my time among you, I learned that the Council was founded on principles of cooperation and mutual advancement. Somewhere along the way, you became what you feared, conquerors who decided the fate of lesser species." The chamber erupted in angry shouts and denials. "Enough," the overseer commanded, and silence returned. "What does Earth want?" Reynolds looked directly at High Commander Dren, who sat under guard at the side of the chamber. "3 things. First, recognition of Earth's sovereignty and our right to develop without interference. Second, reparations for the damages caused by your unprovoked attack. Third, a seat at this council as equals. Impossible, several delegates shouted. Is it? Marcus asked, addressing the chamber. You've seen what humans accomplished in just 5 years, starting with nothing but determination and ingenuity. Imagine what we could contribute as allies rather than enemies. The overseer called for a recess, and the council members withdrew for emergency deliberations. When they returned hours later, tension filled the chamber. The council has reached a decision. The overseer announced, Earth will be granted provisional sovereignty with a probationary period of 10 standard cycles before full recognition. Reynolds shook his head. Not acceptable. We're not asking permission to exist. Full recognition now, or we walk away and prepare for whatever comes next. After another tense silence, the overseer nodded slowly. Very well. Earth is recognized as a sovereign world with all rights and protections under council law. Reynolds smiled. Now we can begin discussing reparations and representation. The negotiations lasted days, but Earth emerged with everything Reynolds had demanded. And more. Humanity would not only gain a council seat but would lead a new committee on ethical relations with developing civilizations. As the Earth delegation prepared to depart, Representative Talia approached Reynolds privately. You've changed everything, she said. Many species have suffered under containment policies. Your victory is theirs as well. Reynolds nodded. Perhaps that was always our destiny, not just to free ourselves, but to help others do the same. Back on Earth, the news of the agreement was met with celebration. Alien occupation forces were being peacefully evacuated. Council technology was being shared openly. The stars, once again, were within humanity's reach. In what had once been the Pentagon, now rebuilt as Earth's new Space Administration headquarters, Reynolds stood before a map of the galaxy. We've earned our place among the stars, he told the assembled leaders of the former resistance. Not through conquest, but through resilience. Not through brutality, but through strategic brilliance.